Hey everybody, my name is Jordan Farmer and this is the newly named Uncommon Ground YouTube channel. And today I'm going to be answering the question, why do people not vote? Why I think this needs to be answered. Well, in my last video, I brought up the fact that over 100 million people did not vote in the 2016 election. Whereas 63 million people voted for Trump and 66 million people voted for Clinton. So there are basically four reasons why I think people don't vote, generally and then specifically in this election, this last one. First off, I think a lot of people just are not interested in politics. They just don't have the inclination. Some people are interested in it, but they don't feel like they can get properly educated or informed on the issues of the day, and so they don't feel confident voting. Some people think that the voting system itself is rigged and that the outcomes are predetermined and that there's no point in the exercise. And some people think that their vote just doesn't count. And today I'm going to try and unpack those four main reasons why people don't vote and try and sort through the legitimate and the illegitimate reasons why I think that people don't vote. Okay, so some people are just not interested in politics, and I completely get it. It's, you don't really control what you're interested in, so I don't blame them. But what I would say is I do think that it's every citizen's duty to at least give politics a solid look. The politics of today affect the laws of tomorrow. So even if you think that politics is this removed thing, it affects you in ways you know and in ways you don't know. And it affects everybody. It affects everybody that you love. It affects everybody that you know. It's critically important. If in terms of federal politics, what goes on affects 330 million people's lives. Some of which are, rich people and they're fine, and some people are poor and they're in desperate situations. And what happens in the political realm and what happens in terms of our laws really critically affect them. And I'm going to try and present politics on this YouTube channel in the most interesting way I know how. But I think it's worth keeping in mind that politics is not just a random topic like recipes for cooking or what car you like. It's integral to our life. It affects everybody, and it's at least worth your attention. And I'm going to try and make your attention on this YouTube channel worth it. Okay, so the second reason why most people don't vote is they are interested, but they have a hard time getting educated or getting informed, so they don't feel like their votes, they don't feel like they can vote with confidence in what they're voting. This happens for many reasons. One, there's no obvious YouTube has sort of opened up, politics 101 videos and things like that, but it's a heated topic. It's a personal topic, and when you ask the best way to learn is to ask questions, but when you do ask questions, quite often you get very, very heated responses and not very understanding responses. And that's very unfortunate, and I think that is a completely legitimate reason why people don't vote. But I think hopefully with this YouTube channel I can help present things in a way that gets you educated on the majority of what you need to know in as quick a time as possible, and that moving forward that will no longer have to be a reason why people don't get involved in politics. Okay, so the third reason, which is probably the most common, it's sort of the the most common statement you hear that expresses the cynicism we have in this country about politics is the idea that voting is rigged. The idea that the outcomes are predetermined, and that what you vote, even if you do vote and even if it counts, it doesn't really count because they're already picking who's going to win. There's definitely some corruption in the voting system, particularly in the primaries. We saw that with Clinton and Sanders in the Democratic primary of the 2016 election. There were cases where local elections to vote for the candidate were basically, you would have them do a vote by like majority sound and have people say, do you want this person? And then they scream, yay. Do you want this person? And the other people scream, yay, or they raise their hand or whatever. And there was videos that came out that showed that the majority of people in a given instance would say, I want to give my vote to Sanders, and then they would give it to Clinton anyways. So there's definitely corruption in the primary level, but in terms of the actual voting, concrete voting, and we can do things to clean that up. A lot of people assume that the Democratic National Committee, the Democratic National Convention, is supposed to be impartial, but the truth is they don't have to be. We could clean up a lot of that and have it be more straightforward. You literally, the number of people that are registered vote, and then those votes determine who gets the candidacy. So that would be one way to clean that up. But in terms of the main voting for elections, we have tons and tons of people that are watching the the voting process. We have lots of people, thousands and thousands of people that keep track of everything and try and make sure that there's no abuses and that there's no cheating going on. So there's a lot of people watching it. Okay, so the last reason why I think most people don't vote is that they feel like their vote doesn't count. This is one of the other things that you hear quite often. This happens a few different ways. One, there is some truth in it that because some people can donate much more money through super PACs and through all kinds of corrupt campaign finance mechanisms, that they can voice their opinion and their candidate way more than the average person. That is definitely something that we can change and we can clean up, and I will make another video on campaign finance. But in truth, in terms of the actual votes, everybody has the same vote. We all have one vote that we can cast. So no one's vote counts less than anybody else's in that sense. So in terms of that, your vote does count. It counts as much as everybody else's. In some cases, you have minority political views in majority political states, such as California, where you have a large conservative population and a large population of people that voted for Donald Trump. But because the overwhelming population in the state was Democrat and voted for Clinton, their votes really didn't count in that way. One of the things that we can do to try and mitigate this issue is to have a population cap for states, meaning that if a state grows in population beyond a certain amount, or if there are clear lines in terms of region where, such as in California, the northern and southern parts of the state that are populated lean very heavily left and are very Democrat. But the sort of rural central part of California is actually much more conservative than you would think. By having some sort of a population cap or some mechanism where bigger states can be broken down into smaller states, this can now allow populations that are disenfranchised, that are minority political views within a majority in a state, to have a voice, to be able to feel like their vote counts in that way. I, for example, in the 2016 election voted third party, but it didn't really matter who I voted for because I voted in California. The electoral votes went to Hillary Clinton at the end of the day. And there's nothing I could do about that. So in that sense, my vote didn't matter. And I think there are things we can do to try and fix that, but to a certain degree, you're never going to get fully around that. You're never going to